engagement ring is generally considered a conditional gift. This means that it's given on the condition that the marriage actually takes place. No wedding, no condition fulfilled, which usually means the ring goes back to the person who gave it. People always ask, what if the other person caused the breakup? It doesn't seem fair. Suppose they cheated. Courts usually are not interested into getting involved in all of that. It's generally not about fault. It's about whether there was a condition and whether that condition was met. Think less romantic drama, more contract law. Now, there's exceptions. Sometimes people argue it was really a holiday gift, or that it was a family's ring and he merely redesigned it, or that it was clearly meant to be unconditional. But those situations are very fact-specific and not something you want to rely on. The safest assumption is no wedding, no ring. And if it was her family heirloom that he put money into, he may be entitled to the money he contributed, not necessarily the ring itself. Now, let's move to the second issue, wedding contracts and deposits. This is where people lose real money. Venues, caterers, photographers, bands, planners. A lot of these deposits are non-refundable, or only refundable if you threaten or file a lawsuit, or only refundable under very narrow circumstances. Depending on the timing, you may even owe additional money beyond the deposit. This could be a whole video by itself, but here's the key legal point I want you to remember. The person who signed the contract controls the contract and is responsible under that contract. So if one person signed the venue contract, that's theirs, not ours. Not we both paid, not her parents paid, theirs. If the wedding is canceled, legally, that's the person who deals with the venue, takes the loss, or gets the refund. I see this mistake all the time. Someone says, but we both contributed, or my parents paid for part of it. Legally, that doesn't change the contract. The contract controls. Awful, right? It's the reality. That brings us to the third issue, who paid and whether that actually matters. This is where people feel the most emotionally invested. I paid for this. I covered that. I put down the deposit. And they assume that automatically gives them rights. It doesn't. Payment alone is not a legal framework. If there is no agreement about reimbursement or ownership, you're left arguing over what you intended. An intention without documentation is very hard to prove. Let me give you a real-world example. One partner says, $10,000 I'm going to pay towards the wedding, and they do it. The other says, we'll figure it out later. Then the relationship ends. One says, I want my money back. The other says, that was part of building a life together. There's no written agreement, so now you have a dispute without a clear answer. And guess what? Courts do not want to hear about it. They have packed calendars, overflowing dockets, and a courtroom of people waiting. Now let's talk about joint purchases. Furniture, appliances, shared household items, the couch you spent 3 months picking out. People assume we'll just split it until they actually have to. Then suddenly nobody remembers things the same way. Who paid? Was it a gift? Was it for both of you? Was someone supposed to reimburse the other, and did they? Was it understood to belong to one person if things didn't work out? People absolutely fight over this kind of stuff. Next, let's talk about gifts. Engagement gifts, shower gifts, money from family. This is a big one. Do you legally have to return wedding gifts if the wedding doesn't happen? In many cases, the sad answer is yes. Just like the engagement ring, they are often treated as conditional gifts because they were given in anticipation of the marriage. Most people do return them. Sometimes they've already used them or consumed them. Do people really sue over wedding gifts? Yes, but not usually over a toaster. It's when the numbers get bigger or the families get involved that this can turn into a real legal fight. Large cash gifts, jewelry, significant contributions, those kind of things. Usually guests feel bad enough about the breakup that they step back and they let the couple sort it out. Most couples, or now ex-couples, think the gifts belong to both of them. But legally it actually depends. Who were the gifts given to, one person or both? Where did the money go? Into a joint account or someone's separate account? Was there any agreement about what happens if the wedding doesn't occur? Because once again, without clarity, you're in a really gray area. And gray areas are where legal disputes live. Now let's move to the honeymoon. Flights, hotels, travel packages. They may be non-refundable. The reservation may be in one person's name, which usually means that person controls the reservation. And if it's non-refundable, the money may simply be gone. Again, not fairness, contract law. And yes, now you are probably picturing your ex going on your honeymoon with someone else, which is a whole separate emotional injury. But let's step back for a second. The ring, the deposits, the purchases, the gifts, the travel. All of these issues come down to one thing. Nothing was defined. Everything was assumed, and assumptions are where problems start. Which brings me to something I want to be really clear about. A prenup does not fix this. A prenup only becomes effective upon marriage. The minute they say, "I now pronounce you," that's when it kicks in. So if the wedding never happens, the prenup never applies, which means all of these issues still exist, and you are still in that gray area. So what do you actually need? If you're living together, this is where a cohabitation agreement can come in. And if you're not living together, it can simply be a straight contract. Same level of detail, same kind of conversations you would have in a prenup, but effective immediately, not contingent on getting married. And this is where you can actually solve the problem. You can define what happens to the ring. You can define how wedding expenses are handled, whether contributions get reimbursed, how joint purchases are treated, how family contributions are handled. You are talking all those we'll figure it out later moments and turning them into actual answers before there's a problem. Because once there's a problem, people do not remember things the same way. They really don't. Now you are not planning, you're fighting. And the fights I see usually are not really about the money. They're about expectations. I thought this was ours. I thought you were going to pay me back. I thought we agreed. A written agreement forces those conversations while you're still on the same team. So if something does go wrong, you are not arguing about what feels fair in the moment. You're following, which already decided when things were good. And that is the difference between something that's difficult and something that becomes a complete legal mess. So no, this is not the most romantic conversation in the world, but neither is fighting over a ring, a couch, and a venue deposit. At Bride Lawyer, we talk about the legal side of love before it becomes a problem. If you're in New York or New Jersey and you want guidance on your specific situation, book a consultation at bridelawyer.com.